Well, what's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is the first video that I am filming as a married man. So if you guys missed the previous video, Lauren and I filmed a pretty fun road trip video in the GTR, taking it all the way up to Michigan for our wedding. This is something that honestly she and I have been talking about for quite a few years now, pretty much ever since we met, that if we ever got married, the GTR had to be there. This is the car that kind of got us together, and we're both really big into sports cars and things like that. So we drove this car from North Carolina to Michigan, 1,600 miles. Actually, let's take a quick look at the odometer, see what we're at. So we are at 1,625 miles of driving from here all the way up and back. And we averaged 18.5 miles per gallon the entire trip. So not too bad given what this car is. So I believe the GTR is rated at like 16 and 20. And with that, my car is highly modified. If you're new to the channel, this car makes around 700 horsepower when it's on full E85. It is a full bolt-on flex fuel kit. So it can run 93 octane normal gas and then all the way up to E85 or just normal flex fuel. With that said, I spent about $315 in gas on the entire trip, and I averaged about a 50% ethanol blend. We left here at a 40%, topped off a little bit above a quarter tank with more flex fuel, got it up to a 70%. Had a ton of fun through the mountains and the tunnels in Virginia and West Virginia. Topped it off again with flex fuel, topped it off again with normal gas, and then before we left Michigan coming home, we put normal gas back in it, and then I believe another flex fuel stop, another gas stop, and then another flex fuel stop. So quite a few fill ups just to keep it topped off. And the MPG, I feel like even if you're running straight flex fuel ethanol, it doesn't really get worse gas mileage if you're just burning gas. And that's kind of what I figured with the road trip up there. You know, we're just burning gas on the other half of the trip, just on the highway. Might as well go with the cheaper fuel. If you're in boost, of course, flex fuel burns a lot more. But anyway, that is kind of the rundown of that. Now let's take a look at any damage on the car. So 1,600 miles in a highly modified car, has around 47,000 miles on it. And honestly, it was bulletproof reliable. I've never had one single issue with this car ever. But let's take a look at any cosmetics. So when we got to Michigan, her dad and I gave this a nice car wash just to get it in tip-top shape. So then this is any dirt from the trip all the way back home. So it certainly got a lot of bugs on the front. As you can see, we're pretty riddled with different bugs and all sorts of crap on it. The hood, pretty clean. This car is fully ceramic coated. However, there's no paint protection film. We got a big bug spot, a few other spots on the front, and then like a tar spot or something right there. Windshield, of course, covered in some bugs. Kind of hard to see everything on it. But that's really the extent to any of the dirt and grime on the way down. And then the back of the car, just kind of normal dirt as you would expect. So let's go ahead and wash this up, see if there's any stone chips on it, because I hope there's no crazy stone chips. All right, car wash complete. The GTR always cleans up so well. I really have to thank the ceramic coating for that. It's really a must-have thing to do to any car. But under first initial inspection, honestly, the car looks fine. It didn't really get any damage to it or anything. If you look at the front end, there were already a few stone chips on it before I even bought the car, but nothing new up front it looks. The only thing I noticed is we just have a little bit of a chip on the windshield. It might be really hard to see. It's that little white speck right there. And then there is another one, I believe, right there on the windshield. So two small, really little chips like that. They're not anything crazy that's like gonna spread or crack or anything like that, but I might try some of that chip repair stuff. But there are a few others in the windshield that were already there before. But two little teeny tiny slight scratch slash chips in the windshield seems to be the only damage to it. Now let's take it for another spin. I haven't driven in a few days because I have been relaxing for a little bit. Alright, so to now talk about driving the GTR, long distance, long term like that, the good, bad, and the ugly about road tripping in this car. The good, the first and foremost thing that I absolutely love about taking this car on a trip like that is the horsepower. So this thing makes about 700 horsepower. It's a fast car. Stock, these are 0 to 60 in like 2.7 seconds. I mean, 0 to 100, the way my car is configured right now, it will hit very, very high speeds without even thinking. And the most fun thing about that is I can just rip it. Obviously, in certain areas of the road where you know you can do it in a safe manner and stuff like that, but being able to pass 3 cars at a time on a straightaway in just a couple seconds is unreal. You know, going up a mountain hill, flooring it to speeds that I'm not even going to admit because they didn't happen. I mean, you can just do so much with the power in this car. And I made videos before talking about how, you know, normal performance cars that are way slower than this, you can't speed as easily. And that's what I mean. In this car, I can hit 120 in a couple hundred feet, get back down to normal speed, and nothing happened. No big deal. If I was in a car like a Toyota 86 or even a Mustang or something like that, you're just not gonna hit those kind of speeds in that short of a distance and then get back down to the normal speed. So this car, playing with the power, is incredibly fun. When I am a dad and I need my dad car, I mean, an M3 probably is going to be what I'm going to get. Got the 4 doors, got 500 horsepower stock, can easily tune that up to be just like the GTR. I love the power, and I'm always going to have a fast car because you can just play with it so freaking much, and it was an absolute blast. On top of that, the space in the car, this is a pretty darn roomy car. On our way back, we had the entire trunk full, we had the back seats full, and actually we brought every single thing back that we needed to bring. Of course, we had some gifts and things like that to bring. It's a big car, it's got plenty of space. The trunk is a little small at the opening, but the actual size is pretty large. But it's practical. You can really fit a lot in here. It's a roomy car. It's actually comfortable to sit in. You have good visibility, good headroom. The seats, we never felt fatigued or anything like that. The only downfall with the car is the noise, and it's not even the exhaust. I mean, this car, highly modified. The straight pipe exhaust isn't even the annoying part. It's just the interior, like the cabin resonance of different sounds. You can kind of hear that, and it makes it to where if you're on a bad road, it's kind of noisy. The funny thing is, if you're on a smooth road, it was perfectly quiet. No big deal, valve closed, comfort suspension, no big deal. Quiet, comfortable car. But on the noisy bad roads, the echo of the interior just kind of is a little unbearing. The weird thing is, some of the roads I noticed, if I opened up the valve, it actually made the car quieter. So you know how noise canceling works? They basically play an opposite frequency and it cancels out annoying frequencies. And I noticed a few times I was able to play with the exhaust valve, opening and closing it on different roads and make the car quieter. So I never thought that making the car louder actually would then in turn make it quieter on the interior. So it was really cool. I noticed that like 77 miles an hour and higher on bad roads, straight by bit, valve open, and the car was significantly quieter. So that was a cool little trick. It wasn't bad. I'd say 80% of the time it wasn't too annoying. A few of the roads just got a little annoying where I did drive with my ears plugged for like a mile or two just to kind of relax myself. But overall, it really wasn't a bad road trip car. The suspension in comfort mode is perfectly comfortable. And I think the only thing, if Nissan does make an R36, they could just fine tune the interior sound deadening. I think that would be a big plus. Even with my car having those extra pieces in the back from a video I filmed last year, installing some sound deadening panels, you know, it really could use a little bit more just to make it just that much more luxurious. Not to say this is what this car is intended to do. I mean, it's not an M4 or something like that. But overall, I really don't have many complaints. It was a pretty fun trip. Certainly a once-in-a-lifetime thing to do, and to cross that off our list, driving our dream car to the wedding, that was definitely something that we're never gonna do again. And it was an awesome experience, and to have the video that I made to document it, for us to look back on it for decades to come, I mean, that's pretty special to us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video too. I figured it would be definitely a fun opportunity to film something a little bit different and pretty special at the same time. But it was a trip to remember, and I can't believe we did it in this GTR. Bought this car years ago, almost 5 years ago. It's crazy how far along this car has come, and even how far along I've come in just life in general. But overall, it was a heck of a fun trip. so then back at the house now after a quick spin in the GTR. It's nice to see it all nicely washed up. But honestly, the GTR, it is a car that I just keep enjoying more and more, and especially after this trip, that is something to remember for the rest of my life, for sure. Lauren and I had such an amazing time. Wedding was amazing, and the road trip was a big part of it. We really wanted to make that part of the wedding day. But it really does make us like the GTR even more. Not that I didn't love it before, I love this car, but it really makes me want to just continue owning one. I mean, this one is still bulletproof reliable, never had an issue, nothing slipping on it, still in tip-top shape. And I think maybe end of this year, sometime next year, I might end up swapping it for a newer one. I've been looking a little bit, maybe getting into like a 2018. This is, I've had this for 4.5, 5 years. So maybe get another one that's a 4.5-year-old car, kind of like the same thing I did when I bought this. But it could be pretty cool to then swap this out for a newer version. I'm curious to see though if a new one's coming out. I've seen mixed things. Some Nissan people said a new one's gonna come out, but I definitely want to keep owning one. I know I've talked about owning a Lambo at one point, which I want to do, but honestly, I don't know if I could actually get rid of this for something that isn't a GTR. This thing really is a special car. And yeah, bulletproof reliable, didn't have any issues on the way up. Had the cop access port running the whole way just to monitor some things. Car ran exactly the way expected. And I get a lot of comments of people asking how reliable these cars are. My experience, bulletproof perfection. Never had an issue, never had a check engine light. Nothing's gone wrong with this car. Knock on Audi. But honestly, good maintenance on it every 5,000 miles or once a year, whatever comes first. I do an oil change. Car is ready for an oil change now. We timed it really nicely to where after this trip, we're now at like 4,500 miles. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out another oil change on it. Other than that, just normal basic maintenance. It's not an expensive car to keep running, and it is just so much fun. I just can't get over how fun this car is. But that is it for today's video. Kind of doing a review of the car after the road trip, checking it out, seeing what's wrong. I did get a little windshield chip repair kit. Hopefully that fixes these two little spots right here. They're really tiny and they're not like they're going to spread into a crack or anything like that. It's just kind of a surface nick. There's a few others on this windshield on the other side, which have been there for quite a few years, so I'm not too worried about it. But if I can tone those down a little bit just to make it look better, I will see if that works. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you guys in the next video.